Stronger together. Stronger, stronger together.
Hey, welcome to Talk Goes Tech. You know, I've been a technology buff and freak just from ever since I was a kid. I was one of those kids that went to Radio Shack and I didn't know what half the stuff was, but I just loved it. You would think I'd become an engineer or something. I really did love technology. And I have been on the front of technology from the get-go. In fact, for many years, I was such a technology expert that I did all the news shows about technology, even though I'm an entertainer and a talk show host. Now, I came across an exciting device, God, was it like 5 years ago, 7 years ago? It's a while ago. And I knew it was going to change everything. And now it's needed more than ever. And yes, I said needed. So today we're going to talk about listening to music, but also how many of you, raise your hands, are upset with radio. Not just talk radio. If you happen to be a talk radio fan and you're anything but right wing, you know that there's very little talk radio. In fact, Free Speech TV, a network that I'm on, they actually broadcast Stephanie Miller and Bill Press and Tom Hartman doing their talk shows, and they're watched by almost as many people as they're heard by because there's not that many outlets for progressive or just fun talk anymore. It's just all gone very polarized, very yelling and very screaming. Big media has brought up a lot of the, you know the drill. Big media bought up all the radio stations, all the TV stations, programming is crap, blah, blah, blah. Take me, for instance. One of the number one questions or comments I get is, oh, Karel, I loved you on KFI. I wish I could hear you again. Oh, Karel, I loved you on KGO. I just wish I could hear you again. Now, you would think it was complex to hear me, but let me show you how complex it is to hear me. Are you ready? This is how hard it is to hear Karel. Here we go. Let's just touch here. Play now. Let's see what happens. I believe that a beautiful, beautiful image pops up. There you go. And we have, look at me. Look at all of me. There's so much me here. Do y'all see the me? That's lots of me. And all I have to do is touch one of these, and I will start playing through these devices behind me. And these are the devices that I want to talk to you about. I love music. I worked for Billboard magazine. I worked for the R&B Report. I've made albums. I'm a voting member of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. I vote on Grammy. When you come and see my live show, you will see me sing. I sing in the show. I love music. So many of my friends are music artists. I refuse to be without music. I want music. Radio does not give me the music I want anymore. They play 5 or 10 songs. That's it. If you're listening for more than an hour or two, you really want to impale yourself after. How many of you are stuck at work somewhere with love songs on Starbucks, yeah. How many of you are stuck at work somewhere where they're just playing music that makes you just want to impale yourself, and you hear the songs 8 times a day, and you think to yourself, if I hear Kelly Clarkson one more time, I'm going to throw myself in front of a bus. And it's nothing about Kelly Clarkson, it's just their playlist or 20 songs. Well, there's an answer. It's the Sonos streaming media player. I don't work for them, but I should, because I absolutely adore it. I've looked at every other streaming media player. They've sent me to review every other streaming media player. This is the only one I use in my house because it opens up the world of broadcasting to you. If you want the Karel cast, you can get it each and every day because the secret to the Sonos isn't just that they're a great player. And if you look at the Sonos Play 5s behind me, that's a new Play 5. That's an older Play 5. This is a Play 3, a little smaller. They have a Play 1, which is not out here. This we're going to talk about in a minute. But if these give incredible sound, think like a Bose system. It's like $400 for the big one. Goes down to $299 for this one, $199 for the smaller one. They all come with an Android or an iOS app. The app is the thing. This app is almost like Apple TV or Roku for audio because you're going to get radio by Tuned In, which means you can hear the Progressive Voices Network. And you can hear every liberal talk show host, including me, 7 days a week on Progressive Voices through Tuned In, right there. You're going to get Apple Music if you subscribe to Apple Music. I do. I like it better than Spotify. That's because I'm a Mac person and all my music's already in my library. You're going to get iHeartRadio, which is Clear Channel, Bain Capital. However, it's a great platform. They just did a streaming 80s concert from the Los Angeles Forum. I just touched this. I touched their 80s channel. My Sonos connect to each other wirelessly. All throughout my house, I had Boy George and Culture Club for the evening, thanks to iHeartRadio for free. They have Mixcloud, where my friend DJ Foreplay has a DJ podcast. Pandora, of course, which is all of your streaming music that you could want. SiriusXM, if you're a subscriber, you can get it right through there. SoundCloud, Spotify, Spreaker, where you can find the Karel Cast. And you can add up to 30 other music services. So what I'm saying to you is, we live in a time where radio's become homogenous. Talk radio has become homogenous. Music radio has become homogenous. But you don't have to despair. You don't have to think radio is crap. You don't have to think I can't find anything I like. These players by Sonos, S-O-N-O-S, will stream and allow you to find over 5 million radio stations, podcasts, and other streams. Trust me, you can find something you like. Now, let's say you can't afford a Sonos system. You don't have $499. You don't have $399. What can you do? Well, if you have a smartphone or a smart device, you can find the company named Riva, R-I-V-A, and you can get what's called a Turbo. Now, this is the Turbo S. It's a little small, and then it has a bigger brother. These are luxury items. They're not cheap. This is $199, but I will tell you right now, it's an incredible device that pairs with your iPad, your iPhone, your Android device, anything that you can pair Bluetooth, this will pair Bluetooth with. You can connect all kinds of things in the back via USB. You can put a CD player or some sort of different audio device into it. It's got surround sound on the top. You just hit that and you can do surround sound. It is really one of the best sounding little speakers I have ever encountered. In fact, it sounds almost... Ooh, did you hear that? It's really fun. It sounds almost... It just told me it was paired. She talks to you. She says stuff. You'll be in the shower. She's like, paired. You're like, stop looking at me. Anyway, so this is by Riva. And again, I could pair this with my iPhone and stream anything that's on my iPhone. So any podcast, any radio station, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Tuned In, anything you want will come out of here. It's portable. It's battery operated. You can use it in your bathroom, by your bed at night. It's good enough to listen to movies or watch something on your iPad or your phone. And it's going to open up any bit of streaming that might be on your phone. So for those of you out there saying, hey, there's no radio for me, Karel, yes, there is. All you have to do is get a speaker that's going to let you hear it. If you're at home, Sonos is the gold standard. They link wirelessly. They're really cool. And they let you stream hundreds of services. And then, if you're on the road a lot or you travel or whatever, a little speaker, Bluetooth, like this Riva, is really going to open up your world and open up music and bring it back into your life and bring talk radio back into your life. Look, it's changed. I'm not on terrestrial. Well, I am on terrestrial radio, but I'm on more streaming services than terrestrial now. And that's just the way it is. My friend David Hall told me a story. By the way, it's the top of the hour around here, which means it's going to be all kinds of clocks going off. It's a Park Howard thing. My friend David G. Hall told me this. There's a radio station, a TV station in Los Angeles, KCBS. They were in a fight with Viacom and Time Warner Cable. They were going to pull CBS off of Time Warner Cable. My friend David went down to the program director of CBS and said, if the transmitter on Mount Wilson went down, how much of your audience would you lose? How much do you think, you guys? This is a television station. If the transmitter for the TV station, the thing sending out the signal, went down, how much of their audience do you think they would lose? Anybody? Kurt, what do you think? Half? 50%, Brandon? How much do you think?
More like 80.
80%? How much do you think, Steve?
70.
75%. 8%. He said that he would lose more if there was a bad episode of Big Brother, because only 8% of people now get their TV over the air. And what this teaches us, that now that radio is catching up. Television learned a long time ago, it doesn't matter how the product is consumed, the technology of consumption. What matters is the content. So television networks relied on content and not delivery. They knew that delivery would change over the years. And so TV stations are now content providers, which you guys access in a variety of ways. Radio didn't do that at the same time as television. Radio concentrated on the radio transmitter, getting that signal to your car, and you having a radio. You had to have a radio. Well, starting next year, 2017, 11 auto manufacturers aren't even putting radios in the cars. They're putting streaming services. They're putting apps. Radio now has to remember it's in the content business, including music radio, because it doesn't matter how you consume it or how you listen to it. This will be obsolete in 5 years. These Sonos, as wonderful as they are, in 10 years, this is not how we'll be listening to streaming music. Maybe it won't even stream anymore. Who knows how maybe we'll have interfaces that we just grab something out of the air if we want to hear it. We put on a VR headset, we see a song fly by, we grab it, it starts playing. We don't know. So just remember, the content is still out there. And now you have a way to access it with ease at your home. Look into Sonos, or look into Riva, or look into any speaker that streams. It has to stream. It has to be able to access certain streaming services, podcasts like from iTunes. As long as it can do that, iHeartRadio, Tuned In, Progressive Voices, you've got just tons and tons and tons of content. So don't worry about it. Who cares what radio stations are doing? Be your own radio station. Who cares what program directors are putting on the air? Be your own program director. Get yourself a Bluetooth speaker or a Sonos or another streaming speaker and open up your world to music again, open up your world to talking again, and open up your world to life. And then never ask me again, how can I hear your show? There's an app. Stream it. Lord. Spend a lot of time encoding files so you can stream it effortlessly. It's very Barbara. I'm very Streisand at the moment. I look just like her, too. It is the Karelcast. I am Karel. So very glad you are joining me. Now, you know how I love to talk about money. I love to talk about saving it. I like to talk about having it. Like to talk about spending it. Like to talk about earning it. I don't have a lot of it, but I like to talk about it. And someone that's been doing that for a while, one of my colleagues at a prior radio existence, and he landed very well on his feet at the Los Angeles Times and KTLA Morning News, giving all kinds of not just consumer advice, but really stuff that you use in your day-to-day life. His name is David Lazarus. I'm very happy he's one of my friends, and I can ring him up and say, come on my show. And he's like, oh, sure, what the hell? Why not? Couldn't hurt my career. After all, I worked for KGO. So it's like, but he is here with us, one of the last surviving print journalists. He is he's a rare person. He writes words. They are printed on paper and distributed to human beings. That's a mind-blowing concept. And he's there at the Times right now. Now, David, this morning when we were talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, you are going to talk about something that I've always wondered. Although now with the rise of Trump, I'm a little less curious. But like when people get these, here it is. Someone befriended me on Facebook. He's got like 20 friends. He's drop dead gorgeous. I mean, drop dead. But he speaks kind of like a Croatian or something in the messaging, and I'm thinking it's a scam. No one's that cute talking to me out of the blue on Facebook. I'm thinking it's not right. I'm not going to respond. I'm not one of those people. But there are people out there that respond to all kinds of scams in their email box, Nigerian princes or British barristers or whatever. Explain to the audience here that this is a real thing, that people really do get taken every single day.
Well, and you're right, and it's like there's no shortage of scams going around, whether it's the Nigerian prince scam where they want to move some money into your bank account, the grandparent scam where you find out that your grandkid is in some hooskow across the ocean and you better wire some money. There's the Microsoft scam, the IRS scam, the Justice Department scam. There's been so many lately. Who falls for it? I mean, just the other night in the Republican debate, they were talking about Donald Trump being a con artist. Same deal. What does a con artist have to do to get his or her message across? And interestingly enough, researchers have studied this. And it's not about being stupid or being gullible. I mean, if that were the case, social Darwinism would have weeded out all the stupid people long ago, and nobody else would be left around to fall for scams. What researchers say is that, in fact, what the scammer is doing is playing a sophisticated game of emotional manipulation, basically working you into a state of excitement, as they put it, because once you're in that state, it becomes harder to say no.
I have to have it. I have to do what I must. I must.
Yes, exactly.
It's like Home Shopping Network. They just, they get you going, and finally you're buying crap you don't even know. I don't need a moo-moo, but yes, I need the moo-moo. I must have it. And you buy it. You do. Andrew and I were at an auction once, and I'm sitting down front, and these two women were bidding $5 apart on an armoire. $9.05, $9.10, $9.15. We had just gotten our jobs at KFI. I had money. When they got to like $8.37, I raised my arm and go, $1,200. And I won, and Andrew goes, "Did we want an armoire?" I said, "No, I just wanted to shut them up." So you will buy stuff. You will jump in when you don't even want to.
Oh, it's very true. And also, when you get that email that says you've just won the Canadian lottery or some other foreign lottery, now your head says, no, of course I didn't. But your heart says, wow, and I deserve it. And that's what gets you going. Obviously, there's two big factors here. Greed. I mean, we all want to get something. And fear. We have a fear that something bad is going to happen if we don't follow through on what the scammer is directing us to do. And that's very important.
I think we also believe that we're the ones who could navigate the waters and tell if it's a scam. I'll just send an email back. I'll be able to tell if this is a scam or not. They're not going to pull up anything on me. And then all of a sudden you're giving them $4,000. Well, it's only $4,000, and I could get a return of $65,000. And you know, if you're 70 years old and you're, who knows, you're not as savvy with social media. Do we find that it's old people a lot that get taken with these things?
We definitely find that old people are targeted, not least of which because they're easier to reach. They tend to be around the house. But according to the Federal Trade Commission, no, they are not more likely to fall for scams. Maybe because they've been around longer and they know what a pig in a poke looks like. So, that could be a thing here. When I talked to researchers at Stanford University, they said different types of scams tend to have the most success with different profile types. For example, highly educated men tend to be the ones who fall most easily for investment scams. And the reason for that, as you noted, is they think they're masters of the universe. Yep. They think they're so smart that no one could pull the wool over their eyes, and then a Bernie Madoff comes along. And before you know it, we're all $50 billion in the hole. And you wonder, well, doesn't anybody see through Madoff's little racket where he's promising 12% returns?
Right. Well, we're talking about like Nigerian scams and stuff, but the fact is Bernie Madoff perhaps one of the best scammers ever, and he scammed really rich people, which is why he's in jail. I mean, if he'd have harmed poor people, he'd be out. But he upset the rich people, so that, he got to go away for a long, long time. But it really was just a scam. It was like, give me money and I'll give you lots more back. And it never happened, and they kept giving him money.
Oh, it's true. And the Nigerian 401 scam is a classic example. You get the email that says, I'm so-and-so in such and such an African country. I've come into possession of a lot of funds. You're my best friend, even though I've never met you before. Yeah. Give me your bank account number. I'm going to transfer all the money to you. Now, you wonder who would possibly fall for that, especially at this point. And yet the reality is you look at that email and you think, well, what if he's right?
Right. Well,
what if it's real?
Well, it's like, why do we play the lottery? My late husband, Andy, he used to always say, why do people wait until it's $70 million to play? Would they turn down $2 million? Would they turn down $4 million? But we just feel when it's that much that, what if I don't win? What if I don't play and I was the one that was going to win? Because you always feel like maybe you'll be the one. And you never are. You just absolutely never are. What other well, by the way, the other scam now that isn't a scam is taking data hostage, and some of that's real. The Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital decided it was cheaper to pay hackers $17,000 in bitcoins than to rebuild their databases. So that's not a scam. That's actually being taken hostage.
Oh yeah, no, that's ransom. Make no mistake about it, and it's becoming increasingly common. The way that one works is they're going to get into your system either through a virus or a bug or some other way. They're going to put software in that will take over the system and shut it down unless they put in the correct key, and they're not going to give you the key unless you pay the ransom. And a lot of places like Hollywood Presbyterian, for example, thought that it would be easier and faster to pay the bitcoins than to try and fight this thing. It's far more prevalent than most people know because obviously when it happens, a business or an institution does not want to report it. They want to keep it all on the QT.
Right.
So this has become a real big problem.
You don't want patients lying near the ER to know that their hospital records can't be accessed by their surgeon right as they're about to cross the threshold. David Lazarus with the Los Angeles Times, also KTLA Morning News in Los Angeles, is with us. He's a consumer expert. He really does know just a lot about everything. And it just seems like every day there's so much, I don't want to say consumer news, but each and every day there's so much information to keep up with about being a consumer. What else is out there right now that we should be paying attention to?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a big landscape. What I'm looking at right now are efforts by Republicans and surprisingly Democrats to try again to cripple the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And that's the watchdog agency that was put in place by the financial reform law that was passed after the economy almost went to hell in a handbasket. Right, back in 2010. And since then, the Republicans' to-do list has been topped by killing off this agency that the business world clearly doesn't like because what it represents is parental supervision. What I was surprised to discover, though, is that Republicans, or rather Democrats, have joined hands with Republicans in a rare state of bipartisan play to try to pass legislation that would water down efforts by the CFPB to go up against payday lenders.
Oh, I'm making mental notes. We're on the same page. Gavin Newsom and I are friends. And I mean, like, real friends. Like, at KGO, he's like, was always there. So we became friends, And so we talk a lot now via email. And I told him, I said, I think one of the biggest threats to the California economy is payday loans. These people are horrible. My niece lost her, not my niece Heather, my friend Karen's niece lost her truck to one. She did the, advance and couldn't pay. All that. And he said, you would be surprised the bipartisan support they have in the state that protects them. And because I thought every liberal, every Democrat, every progressive would be against. I got a thing in the mail, David, from Rise Credit. Are you familiar with them?
No,
they use Sylvester Stallone's Rocky as his photo. Their interest rate is 320%. If you borrow $1,000, you pay back $3,700.
Right, and that's on an annual basis. And the way the industry defends itself is by saying, oh, but these are short-term loans. You're going to be paying it back well before you hit that annual percentage rate. But the reality is, if you need a payday loan, chances are, you don't have the money. So by the time that loan is up, you have to take out another loan, and more they start rolling over. And this is what the Federal Trade Commission calls the endless cycle of debt. And so many people get trapped in it.
Oh, it's horrible. They lose their cars. They lose, and then, of course, they're forced to. I went through a bankruptcy last year. I was horrified that I had to do it. I am so glad I did. I can't even tell you, because I tried to settle with places. I tried to give them money, and not small chunks, like 50% settlements. They wouldn't take it. So I just finally said, then screw you. I'm going to do the bankruptcy protections. And I was hearing from my bankruptcy attorney that they're going after bankruptcy law and payday loans. Some of them don't want them to be able to excuse the debt through bankruptcy if you got it within 3 months of the bankruptcy. And I'm like, oh my God, so you'd go through a bankruptcy and still owe this payday loan place money. These people, and when I found out some of the people that fund these places, you'd be amazed where their money comes from for these payday loans. Oh, we lost you. We lost your audio. Where'd you go, David? Oh, your audio. You've gone mute. If only we could do this to Donald Trump or Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz. Well, we've lost his audio, but we will, in fact, try to get it back, especially about the payday loans, because I have to tell you, if you're in a state that allows them, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's something you should get involved in and get them out of your state. There are some states where they can't have them. They don't have them. But in this state, they do. And so, yeah, your audio is gone, so we'll let you go. But thank you so much, David Lazarus at the LA Times and at KTLA Morning News. Thank you for everything. All right, bye. You can hear us. But I don't want to get on a rant here about this, but I kind of do. Because the fact is that payday loans are yet another way that poor people around America are taken advantage of. And you never hear a presidential, I'm getting all sweaty now because I got to tell you, I've been poor a long fucking time, okay? And I nearly lost my car to one of these places. They wanted to take my car. They were trying to repossess it. I had to hide my car, and I finally borrowed the money to pay them back so I wouldn't lose my car. This is back in the day. Nowadays, if you are poor, these people know. They know when you walk in the frickin' door that you are not going to have the money. They know this. They know they're getting your car. They know you're getting your truck, your motorcycle, or they're going to force you into bankruptcy, or they're going to strap you down with payments for 3 years that you can't afford. They know this. And they make the loans anyway, and the law allows it. That's just wrong. That is just wrong. All right. Well, we've got a lot more to do today, so I better not wear myself out and get my blood pressure all up and dropped. Lord, I'm not on meds anymore, so I'm doing all this sober for the love of all things holy, and my puppies abandoned me, and I don't know what to do. Don't forget, go to the... I have a website. It's reallykarel.com. It's a joy and a beauty and a thing forever. Go there. Oh, no, I can't say go there. Don't go there. Well, I mean, you could, but I'm not telling you to. The Karelcast is underwritten by PowerMax.com. In 4 easy steps, get the best value for your Mac, iPad, iPhone, or iPod from the Mac experts. PowerMax, PowerMax.com. And FarmFreshFlowers.com, a local flower grower in Southern California. What's in the field today is at the door tomorrow. FarmFreshFlowers.com, an underwriter for over 10 years of Karel and Karel Life in Segments. And then Progressive Voices. Always progressive, always on. Progressive Voices is heard through the TuneIn app or at ProgressiveVoices.com. If they're progressive, they're on Progressive Voices. And finally, All Clad Cookware donates to Cooking for the 99. They are the supplier of all of our cookware for Cooking for the 99. All Clad, that brings out the chef in you. We thank our underwriters at Karel Life in Segments.